certain ways in life are immune to this identification. We believe that if I put self into a robe and at a retreat in the Himalayas, that's going to exempt that little idea to take form. Yeah, that you will finally get out of self as the self you take yourself to be. And some people have gone into that effort quite a lot, and many of them have come back and said it's fruitless. Yeah. Now you can always, when you hear that news, we have an immunity to that news because we're thinking we're special, that they must have done something that fucked it up and I won't. So when I go on that journey, I'm going to find what I'm looking for. But the same idea, the same dialogue was happening in every one of those people's heads. Yeah. So I remember one time I was reading, we're on now? Yeah? Oh. Oh, yeah. I forgot the recorder. It would be great if I was don't worry about it, it's falling apart. If I was the trigger man of a nuclear event, because I would probably turn the one key on, but I'd forget the first three keys, the whole stuff. Russia would have won, you know what I mean? Because I would have just, all right, one, and oops. I can't keep it together, bro. It's impossible. So, but I remember this time, these people are going to catch it in the middle of something, but whatever. So I remember this time I was reading a Buddhist magazine called Tricycle. I do not work for Tricycle, so I'm not going to, don't rush out and get them. But it was a nice magazine, nice little things. And this one time there was a page, just like a half of a page, like an op-ed almost, by this famous meditation teacher who'd been teaching meditation for 30 years. And he was talking about a phenomena of all these old students that would get in touch with him. And after 25, 30 years, they said, man, it seems like nothing happened really. That was the end of my subscription to Tricycle. I just closed the magazine because thank God I didn't exempt myself from their experience, and I realized, Jesus Christ. They've been at it for 25 years and nothing really happened, which is actually great, but when you're looking for something to happen, it sucks. If you're not looking for anything to happen, nothing happening is great, but if you're hoping something, I hope something happens from all this effort, and it doesn't. That's a pretty good indication. And of course, the person, I would imagine, as a sense of self, would blame themselves for it. See, they just didn't do enough meditation. They didn't have the exact right height of the pillow. It had to be 5 inches with a little lean, and they had that 15th lumbar was off, so the kundalini couldn't roll beautifully. And if somehow or another it had to do with them, that something doesn't work. And then there's been over the history of, let's just say, spirituality, there's been a number of people who had a voice, and some never even spoke and had the loudest voices, but they had a voice, and they would warn us in a way by these cryptic little statements. Yeah, and to me, it's sort of like it's like the warnings on cigarette packages where they say, "Hey, you got this package, but I'm going to warn. There's a warning says it could be dangerous to your health. So just as a warning. Now, it doesn't say it doesn't like there isn't a lock on the pack. You can smoke, but at least you have the knowledge. So, in a way, it would be nice to have this printed on every spiritual book, right on the first page, before the author, because as soon as the author, you want to have before the author page, and just throw a simple statement by Ramana Maharshi, which is a presupposing of a non-existent thing, wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. And in that situation, then all your spiritual practices themselves, all those spiritual practices themselves will be used to reinforce the non-existent thing. How could they destroy it? We could have a talk to say this over and over again, like 50 times, because your ear, your triangulation of how you're hearing could change in like 3 minutes, and you may get it. But the presupposing of a non-existent thing that wants to get salvation, or a bologna sandwich, or a new shirt, or a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, or a better job, whatever. There's tons of things. We're talking a spiritual book. They have salvation. You know what I mean? If it was a business, it would be a promotion. You know, so a non-existent thing wanting to get a promotion for the non-existent thing. So the non-existent thing would look bigger, have a better office. All right. So if the practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing, if the practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing, because the banner of practices is they're going to diminish something or actually add on to something. Yeah? But if that something is actually a non-existent thing, I mean, what kind of mathematics can you apply to a non-existent thing? Adding and subtracting is basically zilch. It's a non-existing. You know what I mean? You can't put more into non-existing, or you can't take less. You can't subtract stuff out of non-existing. It's non-existing. Yeah. So if the practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing, then how can they, the practices, defeat or destroy the non-existent thing? How? Well, there's been a lot of hows. And all the hows, if you took a summary of them all, in millions and millions of cases, those practices that were meant to destroy the non-existent thing actually reinforce the non-existent thing. Maybe one or a couple escaped out of it, but basically, that's like a principle that doesn't change based on where you're practicing your spirituality, in India or here or anywhere. You're not going to find the right exact formula. Then suddenly the non-existent thing practicing will kill the thing it wants to kill. But you can't kill a non-existent thing. If you kill the non-existent thing, it would be part of giving it life. Yeah. See, so you can't get out of this in as what's in. And all the warnings were the way you feel about you, the way you sense you, the way your mental state holds you, may be all this activity putting on a skeleton of a non-existent thing, basically. It's all the selfing. The selfing builds this imaginary skeleton, and then all the interpretations you have about what's happening to you are like adding the flesh and blood, and then spirit, in a sense, through identification, breathes life into this Frankenstein, basically. And for the Frankenstein to have a good life, it has to forget something. Yeah? It has to forget its own real nature, which is all that which is existing and non-existing, and neither of them. It has to, for it to seem to exist, what is has to seem not to be so. It has to. It couldn't have, those two shows couldn't run at the same time. The one would negate the other. Yeah? So the other negates the one. That can't be negated. And how it does it has to be in time, because for something that's not so to seem to be so, it can only seem to be so in time. In reality, it's not so. And that's the beauty of the message. If you're the non-existent thing, you don't have to keep going back to see if it's come back to life. You know what I mean? You don't have to check, is it catching up on me? It's not like this looming shadow that's taking form. You're dreaming it. So most of us, or in my own experience, my starting point was from the non-existent thing for years. All the thoughts were from there and about that. It was. So the starting line had been moved, and in the moving of the starting line, it changed everything. Now suddenly everything is about me. Yeah? Instead of everything just being about that which is, everything just became about me. So that feeling of life is happening, which is such a joy, like if you're surfing or other things like that, you just feel life is happening, suddenly got co-opted by the mental state, seemingly, and turned into life's happening to me. And suddenly, all this dispersed light of awareness suddenly started getting focused on the non-existent thing. And it's focusing, its magnification is right up where you call your head. Of course, when we say the thoughts are driving me crazy, we point here, the thoughts aren't happening here. Do you know what I mean? If they were happening here and you had a thin face, the thought would, you'd have, it would come like 1/8 of a second. If you had a big head, it would take longer. Because it would have to travel across the screen of the head. You know what I mean? It's not in our head. We just, because we're identified, and the whole language is like cripples pointing at it, their crippleness with like canes and crutches. Oh yeah, it's driving me crazy. This isn't driving you fucking crazy. If it did, you cut your head off and keep you on life support, and then the craziness would end, or something, or give you a fucking synthetic brain or head. People will probably start opting out for that. Cut this fucking thing off, you know what I mean? I want a 27-year-old face on this side and on this side. I want to be handsome surround sound way. You know what I mean? And I'll have a synthetic brain, and it will shut off when I go, I don't want to think anymore. Oh, okay. But it's not the case. This is more like a radio antenna. We transmit and receive. Yeah? And a lot of us, basically, if you're appearing here, you're part of the stock model. You're here, and the radio station that came with this is K-Paul, basically. It took about 4 years to get set up. When you were a baby, it wasn't playing. Suddenly, when the mental state developed, the brain, it started K-Paul, and it was K-Paul all the time. Now mine is turned into golden oldies, fucking to play the greatest hits of the 60s and 70s. And I have like a lot of mortuary commercials coming in, life insurance policies, how to get rid of the ashes of the body, selling body parts and organs. And so it seems like you're the producer of it. You're not. You're just the receiver of it. And selfing, this activity that I just compile into one terminology, which is selfing, which is the mental processes, memory, thought, stuff like that. Yeah. Their whole center in the programming is being a body. Not just a body, but being a body. And if you're going to be a body, what has to be totally occupied in is yesterday and tomorrow. Because you can think about you as a body in the past. And you can think about you in the body in the future. You can't think about spirit. You don't capture spirit when you think about it. It's a perfect terminology. There's thinking and an about. You're not thinking something, it's always thinking about something. Yeah? It's a very vague, very just a very, very vague, I think, and so we basically try to specialize it by a body, all right? Okay, I've been thinking about me all day, but you've been thinking about you as a body all day. Yeah? And it hasn't been you thinking about it, it's been the system thinking about it. So therefore, for the system to appear to be a body now, it has to have appeared to be a body in the past. Because it's the thinking about you in the past and the future as a body which allows it to produce the stage version of you as a body now. So it is I was, I will be, therefore I am a body. It's not I am, it's a body. The I am is dismissed, which is actually the spirit manifesting, and now it's I am a body. And then as that becomes the new statement, the I am is forgot, now it's I was and I will be. It's like a mimicking of the I am, and that becomes your basic state, and it's I am the body, and my name is Paul, and then everything else is given name and form, and here you're in a fucking film. Which no one would go to, unless they're named Paul. There's no fucking way, or you went out with a Paul, and you want to be right about why you left him. Basically, this can't even be, no one even buy, you can go right to DVD and no one's going to buy it. Really. The only reason why you're interested in it's you. If you had the same thoughts that you're calling yours, and they were Stanley's, you would be uninterested in thinking about Stanley in like 2 minutes if you were Paul. I go home and think, oh, if Stanley wouldn't have crossed that street 5 years ago and got hit by that car, Stanley would probably be surfing today, and he'd have 3 kids, and that's not happening. But thoughts go back in time about me, fuck, give me the popcorn, I'm ready, this is great, oh yes, and then let's add, and it's like, it's an interactive movie. You throw the idea in, what if? Oh, what if Paul didn't get hit by the car? Oh, it would be so great. But you totally missed the point. He did get hit by a car, and you still are hit by a car while you're watching the movie of, what if Paul didn't get hit by a car? And then, what if Paul married Sue? And it just goes on. And so this basic fucking, it's like an infomercial. It should only be like 2.5 minutes. It's now a life like an 80-year movie. Like 80 years it gets extended. It's like an infomercial, and the infomercial would be this: you're not that. That's what it would be. If you saw it clearly for 3 minutes, it would say you're not that. That would be its. See, like this, the Course in Miracles says about what can a failed system show you? That it's failed. That's what a failed system can show you. That's its true value. Yeah. So you get a 2-minute end of infomercial, and I'm not that. Boop. But no, once you, oh yeah, could that be me? Now you're Steven Spielberg, fucking Charlton Heston, all this goes on and on and on and on and on. You're the audience, the director, the producer, the stagehand, and the worst part is you're the fucking stunt guy or woman. You're fucking taking all the falls. You're getting run over, shot at, and you're thinking you're portraying someone getting shot at. Try to portray someone getting run over twice one night. I would not take that fucking role again if you had a choice. So what? So your head's driving you fucking crazy. You think it's the head. It's not. It's the you're of it. That's where it gets its permission. That's where it gets its juice. I've seen it. I've seen thoughts, and I've seen my thoughts. And after a long period of time, they've been weighed. And I can tell you, there's a huge addition to a thought that's called yours. There's a huge amount of meaning distributed into that thought that's called yours that isn't distributed into a thought you see as a thought. So it's like a fleet of fucking pickups, and it's always seemingly so much shit's being brought into your life and shit like that, and you want to blame the pickup, but it ain't the pickup. The thoughts are just facilitating something. It's the identification of that which is being thought about. That's where the weight of those thoughts are being given. The weight is coming from you. Not you as this, but you. So when you recognize it, what happens? Find out. Take the invitation and find out. You're having thoughts are going through. After a period of time, you'll see thoughts and my thoughts. You'll tell it there's a distinct difference. And then why would you want to stop there? Apply it to feelings. Your feelings, feelings. Your time, time. Your microphone, microphone. Your body or my body, body. Yes? Totally different. It doesn't. You don't have to destroy the body. You don't have to try to have no thoughts. You don't have to like freeze yourself into like cryogenically so you don't feel anything. Fucking unless you want to thaw out for the party on Friday night and then freeze yourself right immediately thereafter. You know, no. It's not the feelings, the thoughts, and the actions. It's the my action, my thought, my feeling, because the my uses the action to imply the actor. That's the bondage. The my uses the feeling to bond you to this, and it cannot happen, it can only seem to happen here. The feeling is being used to bond your mind, your big mind, to the idea that it's a body. And so now you're the feeler, and then you're the doer, and you're the haver, and you're the loser, and you're the one who achieved, and you're the one who lost, and you're the one who arrived, and you're the one who got kicked out, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It will claim everything, and it will use the claiming, yes, to point to its imaginary phantom, which is you. The identification as what you're not cannot stand without a huge amount of support and activity. It wouldn't hold. It wouldn't last for 2 seconds. You have to be, the glue, which is the my, has to constantly to be applied to make it seem like it's so. It will never make it so, but it can make it seem like it's so with constant application. And we're right there while it's happening. So my thought, the mice weakens, wow, what's there? Suddenly, instead of starting life and starting your day as a thought, from a thought, you start the day as space. The camera has moved back. You're not. The sense of being Paul is a thought. Its essence is a thought. You have an idea, a thought that you're a body. Yes? A thought, and then immediately there is no space between a thought and thoughts. Yeah? There's no space where that thought can have an immunity to the other thoughts. They're all mingled up. Yeah? There's no breathing room. But if you're not the thinker, if you're not the feeler, if you're not the doer, then what the hell are you? Find out. And your space. And that space doesn't have to be in miles. A little bit of space in space is an infinity. It's like the space of an atom. You don't even notice it, but the nucleus and the electron are hugely far apart. Everything is just space here, manifesting. So from that space, what will happen? You will see the thoughts instead of looking from the thoughts. You will see the thoughts instead of looking. See, when you believe you're looking at thoughts, that's from a thought. The idea of being a body is a thought. So you're looking at thoughts from a thought. It doesn't work. It's like you're right in the crowd trying to say, oh, I'm not in the crowd. No, you're in the crowd of thoughts. But prior to that is space. Yeah? That's what we are. You can see thoughts from there. We call it in recovery the pause. What is a pause? The pause isn't after a thought occurs, it's prior to the thought. Yes, that's your original face, like they say in Zen. That pause is you finally seemingly showing up here. And in that space, it doesn't need to be miles of space because it's not of time. And it doesn't have to seem, I've been in that space for 50 fucking years. That's just a fucking story in time. The space is the inherent condition. That means it's inherently here while all the other conditions seem to be coming and going. That one is inherently here. It's always here. Therefore, it's not noticed because we're trying to look for it from what we're not. We want to arrive there through some spiritual, now it's spiritual mixed with ayahuasca trips and fucking everything. I'm gonna have a guru, a shaman, a medicine man, a fucking a Bo practitioner, a Zen mixed with Chan or whatever. I'm going to have everyone in my corner. Prior, what you are is what you are and always will be. Being is not a form of knowledge. Being is being. You cannot know being. You can only be being. You can know everything else that you're not, but you cannot know what you are because you're being what you are. The same thing you're trying to apply to know what you are is being. That's what you are. That which is looking right now is what's looking. We want to turn the looking and try to find it, but you can't see, it's an old example, you can't turn the eye to look at the eye. Because it's the eye that's looking, seemingly, yes? So the eye can't be seen by the eye, obviously. Because the eye would seem to move. And it's not like, I'm just going to chill out. Oh, you're not going to catch it. You're not going to catch it where the eye sees the... You're not. So this is a fundamental different flavor. It's not the typical flavor. Okay, I'm unhappy. I feel like the thoughts are dominating me. I don't feel wonder and awe, and and it seems like a natural modality to go, yeah, I'm gonna do something about it. But you can't do something, you can't do yourself into being. You can't think yourself into being. You can't feel yourself into being. It's a suspicion of the reference point. It's a suspicion of the first square. It's a suspicion, a very healthy one. Hey, am I that? Yeah. And then see what happens. And then if the camera goes like this and backs off, the immediate revelation is it's always been that way. And then you see the charade of what you took to be real. While you're taking it to be real, you can't apply, this is a charade. It doesn't fucking work. But you'll see it's a charade. Not you. You won't see it as Paul. They'll be seeing of it as a charade. And it will be like, this has always been this way. It's never not been this way. So basically, it's a flat-out announcement of the illusory quality of what I was taking to be real. And there's not one bit of the illusory quality that escapes this seeing. It's like, boom. Yeah. Now, it may come back, seemingly. You seemingly may get engaged, but you'll... But sooner or later you'll realize for it to seem real, I've got to be in it. If I'm not in it, it's not real. It's got to hit you sooner or later. Your role here. It doesn't have to, maybe never hit you this lifetime. It doesn't fucking matter. When you finally go to sleep, this will be like it never happened. Because it never happened. We have every night. So you go to bed, fucking all the troubles of the day, where are they? You're fucking skiing in the Alps or something, whatever, doing da-da-da-da. You wake up and seemingly something comes awake, and then the Paul show starts again. Fuck, it's like you're a star. It's like you're a Henry Winkler. Now he's been caught in the Fonz character. So Henry Winkler wakes up, put the leather jacket on, fucking Fonz it for hours and hours, go to sleep, totally erased. I mean, it's just what's happening. It's going to give you a sense of its illusoriness, let's say, its dreaming quality. And then sooner or later, there'll be an intimation of what you are, that you are in action, the dreaming, and in non-action, that which is. Yes? Let's say awareness. In action, it's dreaming, repose every night. Dreaming, day, repose every night, repose every night. When this becomes emphasized, it tells that has nothing to fucking to do with anything. Yes? When this becomes emphasized, it just denies this because it has no fucking idea of it. But it can't move it, it doesn't erase it, it doesn't dispel it, it doesn't invalidate it. But when this becomes obvious, it's not like I invalidate this place, it's just a complete invalidation. Not bad or good, it's not real, it's not so. Yeah. There's like you don't go back to the argument, So when you seemingly go in, hopefully you have that understanding that's anchored, and you realize that's a mental feint. It's stretching out its phantom arm, fucking something up here, and then withdrawing. Oh, I fucked something up here. Oh, I got to move here, get close to the spirit. Oh, I'm far away. It's like puppet show, and if you follow the puppets, they come back to you. I'm close, I'm far, I got engaged with, I was really in the space, but then I got out of the space. All that, it's a puppet show. Follow the arms, look underneath the stage, there you are. You get caught. Suddenly the puppet show keeps going on, but there's not a huge amount of interest in it. As the puppeteer's going, just resting in itself now. It's not, yeah. There's a solution, man. I'm telling you. My landlady read something about self. I said, it's about fucking time. Tibet, Dalai Lama. Oh, he's talked about, it's about fucking time. Jeez, yes. Let's get on with it. What's the point of leaving the point? There's no point in leaving it. You can't make it pointless, you see it as pointless. You can't make it pointless. You can't do it into pointlessness. You see it. Yeah? You don't seeing it. Yeah. Yes. And if you feel like you need something, just why don't you ask, who is it that needs something? Turn your attention that's being directed by the mental state out. Just you still have a little say in the matter. You're everything. Just maybe ask it, well, who is it that's worried about not getting it? Yes, that which doesn't need to get it. It needs to be forgotten. The Toyota has its own program. It knows where to get its tires changed. It knows where the cheapest gas is. It doesn't have to be the center of the universe. It doesn't have to be thought about constantly. It can feel relaxation. It can have tension, all this and all that. A good latte, a bad cup of coffee, all this. Has all this stuff going on. That's beautiful. Yeah? But why take it to be you? Then suddenly the dispersed light of awareness gets magnified and amplified and put on you as a body. You become the center of the universe. Like we say in recovery, you're not much, but you're all that you think about. Really, that's how it goes. You can live a day without much thought. You really can. And especially about you. You're youing anyway. Why does it need to be, you think the thoughts are propelling it? You know what I mean? It's just youing, it pisses, it eats. It can do a lot of shit without being accompanied by tons of thoughts about the shit it did and the shit it's gonna do. You know what I mean? It can just be engaged here. It's fine with that. Yeah. But I don't feel it's like putting 3 tons in a half-ton pickup. The body cannot be a center of the universe. If it's that which is always being thought about, it's gonna look at what it's doing to it. Neurotic, fucking now, they started with, when they made up psychology or something, they had 10 mental illnesses, now there's 555 mental illnesses. Yeah? You put the light on anything, it's gonna fucking mutate. Yeah? The old statement, whatever is observed is distorted by the observing of it. Yeah. So if you're observing you all day as you, that's going to distort it. It's going to fucking produce tons of shit that it doesn't need, and it wouldn't have produced on its own. So there you go. 34 minutes is a good dose. Yes. Usually people hide out 25 minutes in the bathroom. They can say they were at the meeting, but were they at the meeting? You never know. I'm not going to ask if there's any questions.